A man that kills and walked home freely. Far, far away in Africa lived a man. In the village of Anam lived Agafu. Agafu was an evil man that does as it pleases him. He neither considered the poor nor the rich. Story has it that he grew up a lonely man. Both parents parted ways when Agafu was young, so he was abandoned, left at the mercy of his wicked uncle after his father passed away.
I have several mouths to feed Agafu, and now you've added to the number. What am I going to do with you?
His mother had remarried after she left his father and never looked back. So Agafu grew up in the midst of people that do not love, but sees him as a burden. He was constantly reminded of coming with an ill luck, splitting both parents, even before they starts.
Agafu, you ill-luck-laden boy, I will not let you destroy my marriage, just like you did with that of your parents. Understand?
Agafu had a terrible, sad childhood that at some point in his life he had to escape the village in a bid to live. Although he later succeeded, but he grew up a bitter, evil man, filled with rage and revenge. From the time he left the village, no one never heard of him until years later when he returned. And his return marked the beginning of terror in Anam land. Agafu returned not to settle and be grateful for his achievements. Many that left like him, in pursuit of purpose, has lost their lives in the process. Instead of being grateful and putting the past where it belongs, he decided to revisit his past. Agafu returned to revenge.
No one will be spared. Everyone will feel the weight of my feet on their necks. For every drop of tears of that little boy, Anam land will pay. Tell me, when does it become a crime to be an orphan? Heaven knows I didn't write my destiny.
And the once peaceful and prosperous town of Anam land was consumed by his anger. His rage was like a burning wildfire that cannot be quenched. There was no escape for anyone. The inhabitants of Anam groaned in pains, tears became their companion, and his rage travelled far and wide, and Anam became a haunted town. In every compound in Anam stood a reminder of his visit, a gravestone, because Agafu killed and murdered many without stopping. He became a reaper of souls, rendering many children fatherless and motherless, just like him, and the ones he spared prayed for death each day that passes. Agafu, while escaping the village, had one thing in mind, and that is to do whatever it will take him to become powerful. And so, in a bid to have power, supernatural power, he ventured into the unknown and had a covenant with evil. He wanted to punish his people. Agafu could not forgive the past. He got more than what he wanted, and both humans and spirit feared him. A day came, and Agafu decided to take a walk around the town, as his manner used to be. The purpose of the walk is to seek out the next victim, and also to mock his people in their pain. And as he was passing through a compound, his eyes lit up. Something has caught his attention, and so he halted his men and looked around. It was a quiet, clean compound. A man sat at meal with his son when gently walked in. "Father, we're doomed," the terrified son whispered, slowly dropping the food in his hand back to the plate. "Do not fear, my child, if only it could be over soon. He will kill us, I know," his son said once again. "Whatever will be my son." "You're dear to me," the old man whispered out of pain. "That is my consolation to you." "To what do we owe this visit, Agafu?" the old man boldly spoke. His voice carried a unique command.
To what do we owe this visit, Agafu?
I was attracted by a force.
"I was attracted by a force," Agafu answered, grinning. "And who are you, old man?" he questioned. "Egid, the slave of the gods, I knew it," snarled Agafu, fuming with anger. "Then leave. The gods are already angry with you," the old man calmly said. "Who are you to order me around, old man?" Agafu snarled and hastened towards the old man's son. "We are the slaves of the gods. The land you're standing on is consecrated and has never been defiled, Agafu. Leave now. Who knows, the gods might decide to lessen your punishment."
We're the slaves of the gods. The land you're standing on is consecrated and has never been defiled, Agafu. Leave now. Who knows, the gods might decide to lessen your punishment.
The old man sternly warned.
You talk too much, old man.
"You talk too much, old man," Agafu snarled, and suddenly stabbed the old man's son and swiftly hurried out of the compound, leaving the old man to grieve. But as Agafu hurried out of the compound, he had a calm voice that halted him. On looking back, he saw the old man standing and staring hard at him, and knowing that he has his attention, the old man calmly delivers his message. A man that kills and walked home freely has not killed someone with many brothers, because when he do, he will not walk but flee the path, Agafu. Such man will run when nothing is pursuing him. "Oh, Agafu, how I cry for you!" The old man snarled and gallantly turned and walked towards his dead son. Later that same day, the villagers gathered, and the body of the deceased was laid to rest as the old man mourns. The mourners eventually dispersed, and Maziageda was left alone to grieve for his son, being a brave man. It was hard to tell his pains by mere looking at his countenance, but right inside him, the old man's life seemed to be halted. It was already evening when he held his emotions and brought out some food to eat. He has to move on with his life, he thought, as he slowly sat, staring hard at his food, when the whole incident once again played in his mind. Hours ago, he was about eating with his now deceased son when he unexpectedly lost him. "We die once, son. Rest well, warrior," the old man sorrowfully consoled himself and proceeded to eat when he noticed a shadow approaching, and slowly, out of curiosity, he raised his head, and right in front of him stood a man. "Welcome, stranger," he slowly greeted. "Thank you, old man." The stranger responded, searching the old man's countenance. "I was going to the neighboring town, but unfortunately my journey was delayed." The stranger added, "By this time, my son?" Maziageda questioned, in a way that shows that the story from the man in front of him did not add up. "Me and you know that Anam is the only town standing in this region," the old man calmly said, his countenance distanced in thoughts. "Does it really matter?" he added, losing track of his speech, a bit confused. "Whatever, you're here now. It is late and you're very tired from your journey. I'm about to eat. Come and eat with me." "Thank you, old man," the stranger responded. "Eged, Maziaged is my name," the old man quickly corrected. "Maziageda, I'm grateful. You can call me Ebini." "Ebini, a warrior's name?" Maziageda calmly repeated. "Yes, sir," Ebini responded, and suddenly reached out and took a piece of yam from the plate. And as both men ate, in silence, Maziageda suddenly stopped and turned his gaze towards his visitor and muttered, "Isn't it a bit strange?" he whispered, not necessarily expecting an answer. It was as if he was loudly talking to himself, and as Ebini was about understanding what the old man was trying to say, the old man started making himself more clearer. "It seems that one left and another entered. How, sir?" his visitor asked, looking puzzled. "We buried my son not too long before you walked in." "It is sad, Mazi," Ebini responded, looking sad. "You sound as if you know." "What?" Ebini hurriedly answered, looking lost. "You sound as if you know, Ebini." The old man persisted. "Yes, warrior, the villagers," he stuttered. "I overheard the villagers," Ebini hurriedly answered, trying to cover his lapses. "Oh, that sounds reasonable," the old man responded back, a forced smile on his face. "I was alone before you came. Now that you're here, I'm a little comforted. The gods might have heard my pains," the old man concluded. "Indeed, warrior, indeed," Ebini comforted. "How did it happen, Mazi?" Ebini curiously asked.
"Anam is in trouble, stranger. Tomorrow at the first cockcrow, you will leave. Promise me."
"Anam is in trouble, stranger, tomorrow. At the first cockcrow, you will leave. Promise me," Maziageda sadly said. sorrow filling his countenance.
Was your son killed? Do you have a killer among you?
A reaper of souls, an evil seed, the old man suddenly cried out, "The people of Anam is in trouble. I pray the gods intervenes soon." "I see, warrior," Ebini responded. "I'll do as you have said." "Very well, my son," the old man answered, feeling a sense of satisfaction. Not long, both men were done with eating and retired to the room. By then, it was already late. Maziagade never thought he could sleep again after the trauma he went through, but just like a dream, he was already snoring as soon as his back touched the bed. "That will be good for him," Ebini muttered, closely watching the tired, sorrow-stricken old man. "Now it is time to visit an old friend," he muttered to himself and grinned. Ebini carefully opened the door of the hut and ventured into the dark, as Anam people sleeps. But while Anam slept, Agafu, on the contrary, was having a difficult time sleeping. Right from the time he murdered the old man's son, it seems like he has lost his peace. He has never felt that way before. The voice of the old man itself has stuck in his mind, almost driving him mad. A man that kills and walked home freely has not killed the one with many brothers. He kept muttering and repeating to himself like one losing his mind, until, when he suddenly heard a knock at his door, and to his shock, it was Ebini.
My lord Ebini. What have you done, Agafu? My lord, I do not understand. This time around you crossed boundaries. You went too far, Agafu. What have I done? Am I dreaming? It seems like so, but how I wish it was a dream, Agafu. I did everything you asked for. Before now, you are the most powerful and feared man living. Now you worth nothing. In your pursuit of revenge, you've lost everything. The blood you spilled is crying heavily against you. You crossed boundaries. Agafu murdered the child of Ikaneme, and Ikaneme, the god of revenge, is angry. The god of the land of Anam is angry, Agafu. He has remained silent. But now the gods have risen against you. Oh, what have I done? You made mockery of me too, Agafu, reducing me to the level of humans. Ikaneme sent me to the house of the man you murdered his son, all because of your foolishness. I was made a human, a common mortal. I'm to do the bids of Egede the warrior until he's comforted, a man that kills and walks home freely. Please, please, my lord, forgive me.
"Please, please, my lord, forgive me," Agafu pleaded in frustration, interrupting, tears streaming down his face. "Nothing is in my hand anymore. I'm only a messenger. The war you started will consume you," Ebini snarled. "Leave the land, Agafu, flee. The land that once shielded you is against you. Run and never return. Anam must have her peace back. Where do I go?" "Actually, you have no place to go, for even if you leave the land of Anam, the curse will follow you. Ikaneme do not forgive easily. It consumes its victims slowly. And even if he does, Agafu, how do you escape me? I will continue from where Ikaneme stopped, even when you finally join your ancestors. I will not forgive for making me immortal. I will not forgive Agafu. Now get up, burn down your home, confess and plead for the forgiveness of people you have tortured, and you will leave the land and never return. Ikaneme has spoken." Agafu only realized that it was a terrible nightmare when he suddenly woke up screaming like a man raving mad. Ebini was a spirit from the gods, and it was when Agafu murdered the old man's son that the gods arose and sent Ebini, the god that Agafu serve. His voice continued to thunder in Agafu's ear and mind, torturing him as he hurriedly destroys everything that he owns, setting his house on fire. The people of Anam has woken to a new day. It was a huge shock as they watched Agafu. The old man watched too and sadly nodded, but after watching for a while, he turned and left. And that was how the once feared evil man fled the path with no one pursuing him. A man that kills and walked home freely has never killed the one with many brothers, because when he do, he will not run, but flee for his life. Evil brings forth evil. Always try to do good. Do not hurt or intimidate. You never know how it will end. The pursuit of peace is for the wise. The end.